I moved back to Lake Charles in May of 2006. I'd been living in Georgia, you know, like we were talking about, and I knew Max from high school before I moved to the Virgin Islands, and Bo was actually my first cousin, and so I knew him, of course, and I always kind of looked up to him because he's like about 5, 6 years older than me.
Yeah.
And he was always, you know, my older cousin and playing in bands and being a rock star, and I always looked up to him when I was like 14. So I came back, I knew I wanted to have him in the project. And Eric, our bass player, was actually, he and Bo were doing some stuff at the time. And just all kind of came together. I knew Max and Sam, and knew they played horns. I wanted to have horns in our sound. And their friend Kellen, who was our original drummer, and kind of got them in a group, and I got Bo and Eric in a group, and that was the original 6 of us before we added Jacob or Scott. And we just had, so Ashes of Babylon came together. We had one practice, and then the next night was our first show, and it was really rough. And you know, I had a few songs I had written that me and Jacob had written when we were living in Georgia that we brought to the table, and it was really hectic with that very first show. The guy, just a little tidbit of the way that the Lake Charles music scene works. Actually, the guy that managed the bigger bar around the corner, he came and listened to a few songs of our set and booked us to play at his place the next weekend. So we were in business with gigs pretty much right off the bat. I mean, I'd always had music in my background. I actually went to college, I studied music education. My first plan was to be a music teacher and like direct a choir or something along those lines, but I'd really, you know, once I started getting some live performances under my belt, that's when I really knew that I would much rather perform. And after my first semester of music school, when I decided that wasn't quite for me either.
No, I had no plans of being a musician whenever I got older. I was going to school to be a chemistry major, and it was like after high school I started playing around with groups and stuff, and then I met up with Corey, and I was like, this is kind of going good, so I started taking more music classes at school and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I joined the group. I was never really growing up like I'm gonna play this the rest of my life.
This is not about me playing music, but Corey, I can remember him. He was about 3 years old, sitting at my grandmother's kitchen table, singing with his mom and his sister. They were singing Crosby, Stills, Nash Young song. It was one of their older tunes. His mom is a great musician, fantastic musician. So here's Corey, all of 3 feet tall and 3 years old, barely even seeing over the kitchen table, and he's singing pitch perfect harmonies at 3 years old. I mean, just incredible.
I think I might have been like 5.
No, you weren't 5. You were young, man.
This is the first time I remember like being able to sing harmonies.
He was really, really young. Well, I think it was a natural thing for him, and whether he realized it or not at that point, I think that's whenever I realized that he was destined to be a musician.
I really always wanted to be a ball player.
Didn't we all? I was originally driven by performance, just wanting to be in front of people. I'm a middle child. I'm, you know, always class clown, always, you know, had that energy. So it seemed fitting to take it to a stage, and then music was secondary. It was a good conduit to be able to get on stage and perform. I still kind of put performance first. If there was, you know, hierarchy, performance would be first for me, and then music secondary. But they're both. It's becoming one and the same.
Well, I think he's being kind of modest. I think he's a really good musician, and you know, he does bring a lot of energy and dancing around and getting the crowd involved. But he's not.
Get some hype.
He's not a haphazard musician by any sort. So don't let you believe that.
I've always played music. As soon as I was old enough to be able to play. In a bar setting or anything like that, playing gigs and open mics. I've always done that, but never as a career. It's always been a hobby. Played with bands, and you know, I've had every job you name it, I've done it. You know, I delivered pizzas, worked as a video store clerk, I cleaned sewer lines for a while, I sold electronics on commission, I tried telemarketing for 2 weeks. I mean, absolutely everything, and no matter what, if I get too caught up in another career and I don't have the time for my music, I lose my sanity, and I always have to go back to that, you know, just to stay level. It's part of who I am, and there's nothing better than being able to play music and be successful at it, and you know, especially with 7 other guys who are great musicians too. We have a blast. And to get paid for it, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's just
it may not be a lot of money, but it's worthwhile to be able to just play.
Well, I wish there was some like exciting, great story, or how we just had this prophetic moment. But me and Bo were sitting around at his old house, like when I'd first moved back, and there was an ashtray full of ashes. And I think I was maybe smoking a cigarette or something, and got him to pass me the ashtray, and he hands it to me and he said, "Don't spill the ashes." And then I don't remember if it was me or if it was you that said it, and one of us just said, "The Ashes of Babylon." And we're like, that's the band name. We'd been kind of talking about it. We'd kind of been in that band name hunt mode.
Something.
Yeah, band name hunt mode for, a few days, and we just, getting geared up for our first full practice, and just kind of, yeah, Ashes of Babylon. And it makes sense because, and a lot of the reggae culture is Rastafari culture in the islands, and they use the term Babylon as a form of oppression or like inequality, and also it's used as a not that I was thinking of it in this way, but they also use it as a slang term for police officers down on the islands. They call them Babylon, but mostly a form of oppression or tyranny against them, and so the Ashes of Babylon would be burning away the oppression and some kind of freedom symbol, or it kind of made sense in the cultural terminology as well. So I'd say I probably have written most of our original tunes, but Bo's written a few, Jacob's written a few, Sam, our alto player, me and him have collaborated on a few. Like he'll come up with horn lines, and then I'll come in with some lyrics and chord progressions, and it's just kind of sporadic. Sometimes we'll sit and write together and come up with a few tunes, or sometimes I'll write one and just have like a really catchy horn line pop in my head, 3-part horn line, and I'll teach it to the guys and just bring it to the table myself. And then Bo has a couple of songs he's done and he just brings them to the table, and same thing with Jacob with horns and everything. So just really varies song by song. There's actually 2. We had the fall band camp. Bo and Jacob were still living back in Louisiana, and they came up for a weekend, and they both had new songs that they brought to the table, and we spent a lot of time that weekend working on those 2 songs, and those 2 have been my favorite. Just both of them really quality and have nice horn lines and nice lyrics, nice melodies and harmonies, and just for them to come, it's just they were itching, they had these new songs, and just us having to be a part for those few months, and they came for that weekend. It was just those 2 songs really, I can't wait to play them when we get on the set list. And it's because I get to play horn a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I don't mind. I like playing horn too.
Definitely like to mix things up on stage, because Corey plays baritone horn, and he sings and plays guitar. Bo sings, plays guitar. I sing, play tenor sax, and sometimes guitar. Whatever percussion's laying around stage, anybody will pick it up. Make sure that everybody stays real active and in every song. If you have a part of a song that you're not really doing anything, there's something that we can
get the egg shakers and the tambourine.
Something to do on stage.
Get everybody involved and show the versatility of all the musicians in the band.
The names of those songs are "Away With Me," which is the one that Bo wrote, and the one that Jacob wrote is called "I Suppose."
We're in the studio right now, working on our second album. Hopefully it'll be out sometime this summer, 2010. It's going to be called Day to Day Living. We're going to try to put 13 to 15 tracks, somewhere around there. It's going to be a nice big long album, a lot of our new songs, that, and Austin Reggae Festival. We're excited. We're going to be playing that this year.
We just found out a few days ago that we got a spot. That's the weekend of April 9th through 11th.
16th through the 18th.
Oh, it's the next weekend.
Yeah, it's the 16th, 17th, and 18th.
Then I think our show will either be on the 17th or 18th, that Saturday or Sunday.